WWE are accused of leaking misinformation to wrestling media. Plus, an AEW talent has backstage heat with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and a WWE star has been confirmed for TNA Bound for Glory. Kevin Owens' current business on WWE TV is rather intriguing. He's got an issue with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton that's being captured via videos and fan cams and such. And it's all with the background of Kevin Owens' uncertain contract status. An interesting development in that sheds some more light on what's possibly going on with the reporting of Kevin Owens' current situation to the wrestling media.
Yeah, so this comes from Joe Lanza on Voices of Wrestling, who reports that the current Kevin Owens storyline and his uncertain contract status are all part of a strange game between WWE and the Wrestling Observer. He says, I got tipped off last week that Kevin Owens has been signed for months, but WWE isn't leaking that to their media. They want to report that. They're waiting it out because they want Meltzer to start opining or suggesting that AEW could get in the mix and maybe sign him, because then they'll leak out that Owens is signed because it makes it look like Meltzer is wrong. That's the games they play. But I think Dave either got tipped off to the same information or he sniffed it out because he put out a report in the Observer.
So an interesting one where we're possibly in this situation now where false news is being leaked to places in order to throw people off.
Yes, which isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something
new,
that happens.
is it?
No, that happens in media, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean,
red herrings,
all sorts. And I guess with sort of as it sort of said earlier, with the storyline that's going on, and Kevin Owens being taken off TV and not being given this time or that time, it adds to the whole sort of mystery and mystique around the situation. Anyway, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does, and I love it for that.
Yeah.
It adds a little bit of something. But what's interesting in there is, which is what has sort of started coming out of the woodwork now, is that Kevin Owens is indeed under contract with WWE. So there's no plans to go elsewhere, and this is all just part of a really fun wrestling storyline, lest we forget. I know, right?
Yeah, it's nice. It's cool sometimes.
I like a wrestling storyline. They are nice. Now, let's talk about the Elimination Chamber. Meant to be coming up in February. It's the last stop on the road to WrestleMania 41. And there were some sources that suggested that the pre-Mania party, that is the Chamber, could be heading to the UK, possibly London, Manchester, or Birmingham. Of course, should it come out of Birmingham, it would be renamed the Elimination Chamber. And that would just be a mess for marketing purposes. Now, according to WrestleVotes Radio, it looks as if talks to host the Chamber event in the UK have cooled off. There were some conversations about it being hosted over here that seem to have died down, and it looks as if the Elimination Chamber is off to Canada, to the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario. Now, they add, do WrestleVotes Radio, that the UK will focus on hosting a bigger premium live event at some point down the line, but certainly not Elimination Chamber. It's also worth pointing out when it comes to WWE shows in the UK that Tony Khan from AEW met up with the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, just the other day and presented him with a full-size replica of the AEW World Championship.
I can't believe it. That's what happened, isn't it? Tony Khan gave him that big belt, and then Sadiq was like, well, we don't want the Elimination Chamber here anyway, do we? That's not what happened.
It's not what happened. I mean, obviously, the Fulham side plate's on there, which is a shame. I just throw some shade at Fulham fans. I'm only kidding. But obviously, comparisons are being drawn to the full-size replica that Tony presented to the Mayor of London. To the teeny tiny one that was presented. What is this? A championship for ants? That was presented by WWE. Maybe that was why.
It could have been. It's a shame, obviously, that we might not get Elimination Chamber, but with the news that something maybe down the line is coming, then that's quite exciting as well.
You should have given him a bigger belt. I'm not saying that's the reason, but you should have given him a bigger belt. AEW will stay with them for now, where it looks as if there is still some backstage heat between one of the AEW signings, formerly of New Japan, and their former employers.
Yes, so Dave Meltzer is reporting in the Wrestling Observer that there's still issues between New Japan and AEW talent formerly of New Japan, Shibata. Dave saying, the issue is the Japanese doctors won't clear Shibata. They're still pretty hot on Shibata for double-crossing them in that match with Ren Narita Narita a couple of years ago when they were supposed to go out there and do a grappling match, and then Shibata, he called an audible in the ring when he was not cleared to do an actual match with striking, and went and did an actual match with striking. Because he double-crossed them, they've never put him in the ring since. Eventually, he was no longer the head trainer at the dojo or anything. They cut all ties with him, and that's when Tony Khan picked him up.
Of course, it might mean that down the line, if we're going to do some stuff with New Japan and AEW on New Japan soil, that might maybe make some things awkward.
Yes.
It would be a shame to not have Shibata on a show for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
I can get the frustration, especially when Shibata had the medical issue that he had, and how keen New Japan were to be cautious about it, and how Shibata threw caution to the wind. It's also worth pointing out, and I know this is a day where obviously the lead story is about leaking misinformation to wrestling media, lest we never forget that Dave Meltzer reported that doctors took Shibata's brain out.
It's real. That was real, Tom. What do you mean?
That was a real thing.
They removed his brain.
They removed his brain
and then popped it back in there.
Just clicked it back in. If you look on the sides, you can still see like the little holes that they click it back in. Like hinges on a door. They fitted hinges to Shibata's head.
Yeah. No,
That's what I heard as the wrestling media.
It would be a shame if we never saw Shibata in a New Japan ring again. I believe as well, like Tanahashi has said that he would like one of his, if not his final match, or one of his final matches to be with Shibata too, which would be really nice. Again, I wonder if it's the doctor's not clearing him and being like, well, we don't want to be responsible for what could happen in the ring with the injuries that you've suffered before. But yes, it would be a shame if sort of bridges don't get mended.
As a sign of respect for Tanahashi, Shibata could lose to Tanahashi and then undo the hinge, pop open the head, and offer him the brain.
Sir?
Milady. You bow the brain.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate sign of respect when someone bows the brain. I bow my brain to you, my friend. TNA Bound for Glory is this weekend, and TNA have confirmed that an NXT star, WWE flavored, will be at Bound for Glory's countdown show. It's going to be Brinley Reese from NXT.
Ooh, very nice.
She had a bit of a ding dong with Ash by Elegance. I saw Ash by Elegance covering her face in red lippy, giving her a big old kiss on the forehead, like a kiss of death almost.
Yeah.
And we've seen Ash by Elegance have a new signing to her books in Heather Reckless, now known as Heather by Elegance. And we will see those two team to face NXT's Brinley Reese and Zaya Brookside, former NXT UK star.
Exciting.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Be a fun match for the Countdown show this coming weekend. Also, last night, AJ Francis confirmed his place in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet on Impact. Therefore, he's one step closer to fulfilling the promise that he said to me in our interview yesterday, where he said if he wins the Call Your Shot Gauntlet and if Joe Hendry wins the TNA World title, he's going to cash it immediately on Joe Hendry.
Oh, no.
Shot across the bows. Also, Kazarian confirmed his place in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. He's going to be entering at number 1 in that match.
Oh, Joe, there's too many factors against you here.
There's a lot of factors against our boy Joe Hendry, who is still trying to get Eminem to come to Bound for Glory. Eminem, you coward. Go hang out with Joe Hendry at Bound for Glory. Let's make that a dream come true. I'm concerned, like you said, I'm very concerned about our boy Joe Hendry at Bound for Glory, because obviously whether or not there's some shenanigans from Frankie Kazarian.
That could be the case.
What if Frankie Kazarian he's entering the Call Your Shot Gauntlet at number 1.
No, and then he's the ref.
He wins it.
Oh, no.
He's the ref.
That might happen.
Joe wins the belt.
Oh, no.
Kazarian takes it from him seconds later.
Oh, that would be... It would be heartbreaking, but at the same time, I think you booked something there that makes me tantalized to the core.
I feel nervous for our boy. Want to give some love as well to Cultaholic wrestling fan John Nopick, who was at the Impact tapings wearing a Cultaholic FC shirt.
What a guy. He sent me the clip as well. What a guy. What a guy John is.
We are the biggest John Nopick fans in the universe, and we appreciate you doing that, sir. Thank you very much. If you go into Bound for Glory, if you are going to Bound for Glory, not John, you've done your bit. You sit down, sir. You're fine. But if you're going to Bound for Glory, take some Cultaholic signs with you. And just give some love to Joe Hendry. You better leave with the title, or I'm just going I'm going to cry.
Oh.
I talked about one of Bound for Glory's most infamous matches on the channel yesterday.
Yeah.
A Monsters Ball match between Abyss and my boy Grado. And is it the worst Monsters Ball match in history? Well, I'm going to change your mind, and then I'm going to blow your mind. That's on the channel right now. And for the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Keys!
Love you, bye.